Myself Vaibhav. In today's session, we are seeing that the Euro USD is finally finding some buying on the lower side, and now, for the time being, it has been able to hold above its prior lows. And after the release of United States CPI data, it even jumped on the higher side, but of late, it has given up most of its gain, and now it is trading close to where it was before the release. But still, I think looking at the current chart pattern, the Euro USD is now in the consolidation phase, and moving forward, we might see some buying happening, and it might be considered more of an retracement rather than a trend reversal. But the levels of around 1.185 are indeed giving some support to the euro, and you can say that the Euro USD is finding its footing on these lower levels after correction of almost 400 pips, starting from 1.225 to now closer to 1.185. So let's see what's happening in today's session. If you consider the data docket for the day, earlier in the day, we got China's inflation numbers, and here the China is still experiencing deflation, and with this reading of February, we are again seeing the same trend. And in terms of year on year, the reading still stands in negative territory. But one thing which is at least in positive is month on month reading, which is showing some upward momentum. But still, we will have to see how these price pressures play out in near term. Moving on to the US data, for US, the CPI reading now stands at 1.7, which is its highest reading since February of 2020. So for this month, the month of March, we are seeing some move on the higher side, but this was pretty much expected. This is slightly higher than the expectation, as expectations were of around 1.6%, but this is pretty much being priced in the market now that we have seen US Treasury yields also moving on the higher side in terms of in anticipation of this inflation overshooting the 2% target in next couple of months. But Mr. Powell has said that even though the inflation is likely to move above 2% in near term, it is not likely to be a sustained trend, and maybe by the second half of this year we will see again inflation remaining on the lower side or below the 2%. But let's see, this is something new for the US, as most of the advanced economies have seen the inflation remaining stagnant well below 2% mark, and now after many years this will be something new to watch out for. For the commodity segment, we got the WTI's crude oil inventory data from the EIA, and this time also for last week we are seeing that the inventory buildup is continuing, even though now the magnitude is lower at around 13 million barrels, but still this is pretty high, and this is happening mainly because of the days when the refineries were shut, but the crude oil extraction was ongoing, and as a result of that, these inventories have risen. But I think this is not likely to be sustained, and we will see the reversal pretty soon in coming weeks. Now let's shift our attention to the technical segment, where the focus is on the USD, and I'm expecting the USD to remain sideways, and as a result of that, we can try to make some profitable trades in Euro USD and also the gold. Let's start with the Euro USD's technical outlook first. This is the daily time frame chart, and here the Euro USD is now consolidating, or you can say finding some buying on lower side closer to these prior swing high areas of around 1.180. And if you look at this chart pattern here, this is where we had the breakout by the end of last year, and now the Euro USD is again back to this level. But I think in next couple of days it will be interesting to see how this price action unfolds. In near term, I'm expecting some support on the lower side. As I also said while starting the session, this is not yet the sign of trend reversal from the Euro USD. but still we need to watch out on the lower side. And in near term, we can indeed look for some buy trade for scalping if the Euro USD is able to hold above these immediate swing low. The day's lows should be good enough, and here we will be trying to go for the buy trade on the rise. So whenever there is breakout on the higher side, only then we will have to look for buying opportunity. So immediate high is of our concern, and if the price starts to rise above 1.191 price levels again, then only we can look for some buy trade. But if the Euro USD gives up its gains and starts to decline below the day's low, then I think it will be better for us to give up the thoughts of going long, and rather maybe we might prefer to stay on the sidelines till the consolidation unfolds and we get a clearer idea of the Euro USD consolidation phase. But if it is able to break above this high, then I think this price level of around 1.193, which was also its first support of this month's pivot point series, can be breached again, and we might see in due course of time the Euro USD moving towards 1.20 level in days to come. If we consider these both technical formations, these are still bearish, and that is because the trend is still bearish. But here we are looking for some scalping trade, not swing trades. And from that perspective, we will have to keep in mind these 50 SMA zone, and as I said, we are going to look for the buy trade only when there will be a fresh breakout again. So keep in mind this 100 SMA zone, and on the lower side the 50 SMA is also going to be of high importance. So this is the confluence zone, which is going to be our near-term marker. Anything above 100 SMA and we can be fairly confident of the continuation of the retracement on the higher side at least till this 200 SMA mark. But if it is not really able to cross and sustain above this 100 SMA, then on the lower side we have to watch out for this 50 SMA zone, and if there is break below that, then I am expecting the Euro USD to again move back towards its immediate low, yesterday's low, and it might even break on the lower side below that. So we will have to trade accordingly. Now let's see what's the technical outlook for gold. This is the daily time frame chart, and the daily time frame chart is fairly similar to the Euro USD, and one of the reason is of course the USD. USD has gained considerably in last couple of days, and that's being reflected in this downward slide in the gold. And just like the case for Euro, the gold also showed considerable upward momentum in yesterday's session. Now in today's session, it is holding on to yesterday's gains, but there is not much of a move on the higher side. And because of that, we will have to be watchful in today's session. It has shown sideways trajectory so far, but I think there are some key levels which we need to watch out for if we want to profit in the latter part of the day. So here is this chart of the 4 hourly time frame where we have seen the gold consolidating and holding well above this first support of this month's pivot point series. And on the price front, if you consider the regression curve, it is also touching this upper band of this month's regression curve. And I think if it is able to hold around this price area, then as I had also talked about this in yesterday's session where we had seen the gold, then of course the flattening is possible for this regression curve, and that will be more conducive for the further up move in gold toward this central pivot point. Both of these technical formations are still bearish, so we have to keep that in mind while looking for any trade here. And as a result of that, we can't really go for big trades. The only trades which we can go for in a contra trend direction are the scalping trades, and for that the stop loss and targets will work out fairly sharp, so we have to trade accordingly. Here also the gold is now closer to this 200 SMA mark, and the outlook is similar here. I am expecting the gold to continue to move on the higher side, and if we do get the breakout on the price zone of around US dollar 1720 per ounce, then only we can look for some buying opportunities. Otherwise, if there is a breakout on the lower side, then it will be better to sit on the sidelines rather than going for the fresh trades in the gold. And keep in mind this confluence zone of 50 and 100 SMAs, and on the higher side we have these 200 SMA. So these are the guiding factors in today's session. Anything above this, the immediate resistance of 200 SMA, then that will be more conducive for the buying trades. Otherwise, we will have to sit on the sidelines and then wait it out till tomorrow's session. Then we will have a more clearer picture for things to come. So that's it from my side for today's session. If any of you have any query or any idea to share, you can write to me in the feedback section and I would be more than happy to take the discussion forward. Before I sign off, I would also like to remind of the risk associated with trading in the financial instrument, and one should be careful while using the information provided. Have a fabulous day ahead. Thank you all for joining in. Do subscribe to the Decoscopy webinar channel to stay updated on the market developments. Goodbye.